In order to accept that parental alienation is real, you must accept the premise that children can be manipulated to unjustifiably reject a parent. Consider the science related to social influence, and you'll learn that people aren't impervious to manipulation, although many would like to think they are. What does research and science say about social influence? This has been studied for decades. For example, scientists wanted to discover depth perception in babies, so they created a visual cliff on a table, an illusion of a cliff. The visual illusion of the cliff was only perceptible to those with depth perception. If a baby stopped crawling across the table when they came to the visual cliff, the scientists could infer that the babies had developed depth perception. Scientists also learned that infants could be coaxed across what looks like a dangerous cliff through positive cues from a parent. The coaxing from a smiling parent would override the child's own visual clues in what appeared as though that they would fall over the cliff. The cues from the mother that it was safe to proceed could override the child's own visual information that it was unsafe. When the mother frowns and looks afraid, however, the babies don't crawl across the cliff. The mother's signal of danger was paid attention to by the infants. This is an example of external influence on a child based upon the reaction of a parent. It's not a stretch to recognize that an alienating parent can influence a child against another parent. A scientist, Stephen Ceci, asked children about a highly improbable event. Did your finger ever get caught in a mousetrap? He interviewed the children once a week and repeated this question over and over again. After a few weeks, a high percentage of the children changed their no answer and started answering yes, it happened, just based upon the repetition of the question. In addition, two fascinating things also happened. The children packed false memories with loads of sensory detail. Children will elaborate sensory detail to events that never even happened. Once he debriefed the children and explained that the event didn't happen, the children stuck to their story and denied that they were fooled. They stuck to the false memories. Because the children could share specific details of the event, it made it seem real to themselves as well as others. Similarly, legal and mental health professionals assume that if a child shares specific details of an allegation, that it must have actually happened. The research of Elizabeth Loftus found that people can be influenced to remember things incorrectly through the types of questions asked about an event. That is, history can be rewritten. She showed a video of a car hitting a pole to two separate groups. She asked each group a slightly different question. One was asked, how fast was the car going when it smashed into the pole? And the other was asked, how far was the car going when it hit the pole? The only difference was one word, smashed versus hit. The group who heard the word smashed thought the car was going faster than the other group, and they were more likely to add that there was broken glass on the ground that wasn't actually depicted in the video. This shows that how we ask children questions can change the memories that they have. Loftus also found that it was possible to implant a false memory of being lost in a mall, almost drowning and being saved by a lifeguard, or being bit by a dangerous dog. Memories of an event can be changed or imagined. Shaw and Porter coaxed teenagers into remembering highly salient false memories. What might have happened became what was. They implanted a false memory of a fistfight with a close friend that caused the police to be called. These researchers found that 75% of teenagers would recall the false event. The title is Implanting False Memories, and the YouTube sits on Nova's PBS official channel. The 3-minute video provides a perfect demonstration of how easy it is to plant a false memory in a teenager. What might have been became what was. It's easy to imagine how a parent could implant a false memory in the same fashion. Solomon Asch conducted a study where college-age students answered a question incorrectly in order to conform with a group. The study involved a group of actors who helped stage the experiment by answering a question incorrectly to see how the test subject responded. The vast majority of research subjects chose the wrong answer in order to conform to the group. After being interviewed afterwards, some said that they wanted to go along with the group, but others admitted to doubting their own judgment. Likewise, alienating parents often elicit support from others to build a sense of consensus against a targeted parent, making it hard for a child to resist the pressure to also turn on that parent. Stanley Milgram pressured people to administer intense, powerful electric shocks under the ruse that he was testing the power of negative reinforcement to improve memory. He had test subjects appear to punish active participants with shocks when they failed to recall correctly. A sign on a pretend machine stated that the power of the electricity could be increased to a dangerous, life-threatening level, and actors would pretend to scream in pain when the test subject administered what they thought was a dangerous shock. Up to 65% of people agreed to give the ultimate dangerous electric shock because they felt obligated by the social pressure that the scientist imposed. This demonstrated the influence of pressure from someone with authority. What does this mean for parental alienation? It means false memories can be implanted, suggestion and questions can lead to the corruption of memory and perception, the cues of others shape our own perception, and this is true of infants, children, teens, and even adults. The mechanisms of influence include social pressure, visualization, suggestive questioning, repetition, compliance, patternicity, and confirmation bias. Social pressure. According to brain scan research, people feel uncomfortable when they go against the group. As a society, we're held together by a social contract to get along. Visualization. Shaw and Porter asked research subjects to imagine the fight happening. If you visualize something enough, your brain keeps a trace of the image. When you recall the images, the brain can confuse a true memory of something that actually happened with a memory of something that was imagined. Suggestive questioning. Parental alienators use suggestive questioning. How you ask a question can suggest an answer. Loftus did a study where she showed a video and she asked, "Did you see a stop sign?" And the other half were asked, "Did you see the stop sign?" The people who are asked, "Did you see the stop sign?" reported seeing the stop sign at a much higher rate, when in fact it was a yield sign, not a stop sign. This demonstrates how an alienating parent can change a child's perception with suggestion. Repetition. Stephen Ceci demonstrated how repetition can alter perception by interrogating over and over again. It can create a feeling that something's true when it isn't. Compliance. Milgram showed how an expectation of compliance can induce even adults to do something they don't want to do. Alienating parents can ask a child, "Promise me you'll do this," which can help influence a child to do something he or she doesn't want to. Patternicity. Our brains are wired to make connections. Simply asking two questions that don't seem related can create a false connection by a child. "You haven't seen your dad in 2 weeks, and he still wanted to watch a game instead of doing what you wanted?" Confirmation bias. Once a false idea is planted that a parent is unsafe, it's hard to undo. The brain is wired to give more weight to information that supports our beliefs rather than the information that doesn't. We don't want to change our minds. There are 17 primary parental alienation strategies or behaviors of a favored parent. The effect of these behaviors is to induce in the child a distorted belief that the other parent is unsafe, unloving, and unavailable, and the distorted belief that the favored parent is the only one who truly loves and understands him or her. Watch the video about the 17 alienated behaviors for more information about these strategies. Written by Dr. Amy Baker and produced by the Law Center. Click the link in the description portion of this video for more information about them.